Right, how's it going? I hope you all sound. This video is going to be slightly different to what I normally upload. I'm not going to be sat here ranting and reacting to a video I found or anything like that. Instead, I'm just going to be sharing some news that's been flying about the internet recently. I'll leave a link to all the sources I've used in the description, but yeah, let's just get into it. So, pretty much, there was a schoolgirl from London who did a runner and went and joined ISIS in Syria. This was, I think, 4 years ago, if I'm correct, or coming up to 4 years ago, and basically she wants to come back to the UK. Personally, I think the fact it's actually up for debate's a fucking joke. Like, why would you let someone who went and joined a terrorist group come back into the country? It just sounds so stupid. But anyway, the article from The Guardian says, an East London schoolgirl who left the UK in 2015 to join the Islamic State has been tracked down in Syria, where she says she has no regrets about joining the group, but now wants to come home as she is 9 months pregnant. See, the fact she has no regrets about it despite what they do, like, I've seen plenty of videos from ISIS where people are getting their heads cut off with tiny knives, big machetes. I've seen videos of someone getting run over by a tank starting from the feet making the way to the head. It's actually fucking disgusting, and the fact she has no regret despite all that, it's just sickening. Like, why is it even up for debate? It's just so unreal to me. Like, who in the right mind would even think it's a good idea to let her come back in the UK? Seriously. But moving on, the article says, I was weak, she told the Times from Al-Hal refugee camp in northeastern Syria. I could not endure the suffering and hardship that staying on the battlefield involved, but I was also frightened that the child I'm about to give birth to would die like my other children if I stayed on, so I fled the caliphate. Now all I want to do is come home to Britain. Further on down the article, she speaks more about her kids, and it turns out that they died from illness and malnutrition. Honestly, I genuinely do feel for them both, but that's her fucking fault. The way I see it is, it must have obviously been noticeable that they were malnourished and possibly ill. Like, you should have clocked that. Why didn't you decide you wanted to come back when you saw your first two suffer instead of now? I don't get that. You must have known the environment and atmosphere you was living in wasn't good if you've watched your first two kids slowly die. I really don't have any sympathy for this woman at all. It turns out she didn't go on her own though. She and two of her fellow Bethnal Green Academy pupils, Khadija Sultana and Amira Abbas, made headlines when they flew from Gatwick to Turkey in February 2015, then entered Syria. Begum and Abbas were both 15 while Sultana was 16. They had told their parents they were simply going out for the day. Oh, imagine if that were your kid, man. I think I can speak for most of us watching, but if my daughter told me she would just off out for the day and then I found out she'd fucked off to join a group like that, there'd be no longer my daughter, I could tell you that now. Reading more of the article, it says that she and Sultana and Abbas, along with another young woman, Shamima Begum, also from Bethnal Green, who travelled to Syria 2 months before the trio and is not a relative of Begum's, had also married foreign ISIS fighters. So they all went to get married, and it turns out a year later that Sultana was reported to have died in 2016 in an airstrike on Raqqa, and Begum confirmed this in an interview. So the girl who wants to come back lost two of her kids due to them being malnourished, lost one of her friends, and has no regrets and wants to come back to the UK. You all need to open the door and let that sink right in, my friends. That's not even the worst part of it though, it gets a bit brutal this like. Begum told the Times she initially settled in Raqqa where she married a Dutch convert after 3 weeks. She said life there alternated between normality and atrocity, and added that the sight of a beheaded head in a bin had not fazed her. Mostly it was a normal life in Raqqa, every now and then bombing and stuff, she said, but when I saw my first severed head in a bin it didn't faze me at all. It was from a captured fighter seized on the battlefield, an enemy of Islam. And this is someone who wants to come back to the UK, like what? So you have no regrets about joining them, you lost 2 kids, a friend, and saw someone who'd been decapitated in a bin and it just didn't bother you at all. Like, not being funny or out, but if I saw some randy's head that had been cut off in a bin, I'd be popping a whitey all over, man, you know what I mean? Just even thinking about it's grim. She said Shamima Begum and her base were believed to have remained in ISIS's final stronghold. I heard from other women only 2 weeks ago that the two were still alive in Baghuz, but with all the bombing, I am not sure whether they have survived. They were strong, I respect their decision. They urged patience and endurance in the caliphate and chose to stay behind in Baghuz. They would be ashamed of me if they survived the bombing and battle to learn that I had left. Right, to everyone watching, just let me know in the comments, what would you be more ashamed of? Lying to your parents, fucking off out the country to join an extremist group only to have your mates blown up and your kids left behind? Or actually leaving the group and coming back to, and I quote this by the way, raise a child? Make sure you have a good think about it first though. You don't want to make a hasty decision when both are just as shameful as one another. Come on. Lawyer Tasnim Akunji Smashed it, boys. Said, I am really grateful she is alive. Bernard Hogan Ho, when he was a Metropolitan Police Commissioner, said the girl should be treated as victims as long as no evidence emerges that they committed offences. I would hope that is honoured. She has suffered trauma and I hope that she can come back and put this behind her. Anyone who has lost 2 children will need a lot of help. Oh yeah, suffers trauma but sees a cut off head in a bin and don't give a fuck. Oh, just shut the fuck up and make your mind up. Has she been mentally scarred or not? Because you lot believe she's more traumatised than she does. She said she don't have any regret and she won't fazed by the stuff that she's seen. That's just sickening and disgusting in itself. Which brings me back to the question, how the fuck is her coming back to the UK even up for debate? This country is actually on its arse. Right, I think that's it really. I've told you pretty much all the important bits from this article, but let me know in the comments what you think, whether she should be allowed in the UK or not, because I genuinely am intrigued. The way I see it is, she made the decision to go join ISIS. She lost 2 of her kids because they clearly wasn't being looked after properly. She don't even know if her mates who went with her are actually alive or not. She ain't bothered by the vulgar shit like decapitated heads, and she says she has no regrets. How anyone thinks it's a good idea to let her come back is beyond me. Fair enough, let her have a child, then bring the child back so they can be raised in a better environment, but leave her in Syria, seriously. I just feel like if the reason she wanted to come back was to be a mother, she'd have done something when she even seen that her first 2 were ill or after the first one had passed. I believe any sane person who cares about their own flesh and blood would have said or done something sooner. I don't know, just let me know what you think. But that's going to be it for today's video. It's somewhat slightly different to normal, so if you want me to do more of these, let me know in the comments. But if you have enjoyed it, then do drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Follow my Twitter, a link to it will be down in the description, and I will catch you in the next video. See you in a bit.
Girl, why are you playing with me? I don't got the time for that. Might need me a refund. I'ma need that time back.